Facebook. Just a quick introduction of our lecture today and the club. The South African Leadership Gentlemen's Club is a non-profit or the NPO for all South African men, boys, and girls. The purpose is to develop men and boys into outstanding leaders and active leaders of our communities and homes. So if you are a South African man and you are here for the first time, know that this home is for you. This is where men come and try to reconnect with themselves and try to reconnect with the leadership that is within them that is lying dormant. So we know that women belongs to all these organizations. Women always meet, they come together and they try and make communities and our homes work. But we men generally don't belong anywhere except in other things that I'm not able to divulge on this platform. The club was founded in 2019 in October officially. We have over 2,000 members nationwide as we are a national club. As I've said, the purpose of this club is developing men into active leaders of communities and homes. Our concentration is normally when it's spoken about, we hear the knowledge, the talk that we are creating leaders of tomorrow, leaders of the nation. At the club, our philosophy is different. We are creating leaders of our nations today for tomorrow. And we're creating leaders that will build our communities. We don't prepare leaders to go and run our country, to go run organizations before they can even run communities and homes where we live. Our philosophy, Prof, comes from the Bible that God made a man as a leader. He gave man an instruction to manage the Garden of Eden that he has created for him. And he said to men, go and manage. But in that process, he realized that the man needed a help, and he brought a woman and said, I'm gonna bring you a helper, and here it is. So that was the foundation of a family. Because family, we believe, is the first institution ever to arrive on earth, even before Congress, even before church. Family was first. So this is our philosophy, that leadership starts at home. So it is the core purpose of this club through all its five founding pillars, that we developing leaders and we developing them from home. We believe that if we can get proper leaders from the homes, whatever the home and communities dispatches out to national offices, whether it's politics or corporate, whatever, it is going to change our communities, because we believe that your community is a prototype of the family. I mean, your nation, your national leadership, Angela, is a prototype of a family. If you have a dislocated family, you would see with the kind of leaders that are positioned in all national offices where you expect things to run. So this club, all its programs are deriving from its five founding pillars. And all the pillars are developed after a thorough research that as a non-political party, we concentrate on the psychosocial and economic issues of our communities. This is what our pillars are concentrating on. So we have this program today emanating from our first pillar of mental liberation of a South African man and boy child, so that they find the leadership inside of them. So 5 of those pillars are where we draw various and multiple programs that are community-based. And on that basis, we are not, because often we find questions that why are you excluding women? Women are not excluded in the club. Our focus is men and boy child to get them to be active. Women have got a desk in the club. We call them friends of the club, friends of the South African Leadership Gentlemen's Club. In short, SALGC. SALGC, it's the abbreviation of our full name. So women are the friends of SALGC. And we have a desk within SALGC where women are represented. The purpose of that desk is for women to participate in program design and program implementations in the communities where they are based. When they see a need of a certain program, they should not be shut out. They should know that we are part of SALGC. We can activate our desk and come with a program that will run smooth in activating whatever is a need in our communities. Boy child as well, they are there. We got young ambassadors, which came out of one of our programs that we ran last year. Boy Child are also running various young programs that are coming with to try and activate the young boys from school to focus on leadership, to throw away bullying and concentrate on being young leaders from the onset. This is the purpose of the club. So when we talk about our programs that we are running, we have programs, just to mention a few programs that we are running. Recently, last year, we launched a national essay youth writing competition, which all boy child across the country, up to the age of 25, I believe, were writing a topic, an essay on a topic of toxic masculinity. So the purpose there was to get these boys to research, to talk to their fathers, their mothers, their uncles, everyone, teachers at school, pastors, and everyone, and even research themselves as to what is toxic masculinity. The aim purely was to get them actively to learn how toxic their behavior is, so that whenever they feel toxic, to want to bully their friends at school, their younger brothers, their elder brothers, their sisters, even each other, they must be able to self-restrain, because consciously they have learned what is toxic masculinity themselves. So last year, it was the inaugural year of the program. It came out successful with us getting out of it 9 of the young boys who became the youth ambassadors of the club. So we'll be running the same program again this year, and it will be running each year to develop young men to take leadership position. We've got another program, Lewala Banna. This program, Lewala Banna is a Pedi word for men's cave. Concentration is on a man, because there seem not to be, from a political point of view or a corporate point of view, business point of view, there seem not to be an intention to help raise up the fallen man. We know since the man fallen from the Garden of Eden, there's never been an attempt except from God, to raise this man. And we know that once you want to attack the family, which is the strongest and the biggest institution ever, you need to attack the head of the family, which is a man. And once you have attacked the man, you have conquered the family. And this is what is happening. We're having parental issues raising our children. We parents as well are dysfunctional. Our children are living in dormitories, because in a home has become a dormitory these days. Each room has got its own television where a child is watching. Each one is sitting on their mobile phones and watching. So Liwa Labanna program, which is a men's cave, is to bring men in each community. We must have a clubhouse where men will go to the clubhouse and they engage with each other there. They talk about issues, which is what Lewalabana is concentrating, teaching men about legal issues that affect them, because some men will tell you we are unable to even have visitation rights for our children. Women are using children to punish us and all that. So the Lewa Labana program is intended to educate men about their rights, the purpose why they are, and how they should approach these issues without killing women, without abusing them, without killing their children, and all that. Purposely also, it's for men when they are stressed in their communities. They must walk on the street and go to the clubhouse, sit there and meet other men, get counseling, talk about these issues. Later on, when they go home, they're calm, instead of being there and then just releasing the anger and murdering their women or their children and all that. Other programs, we have a program called Aluwarote, which is a vendor word, which means we grow together. This program goes with one of our cardinal pillar number 3, that says economic opportunities should be created among local communities. Here is where we make sure that the opportunities of economy that are created in a certain particular community, those opportunities are used, Prof, to continually benefit and perpetually benefit the community that they live on. So there's a few of those programs that we are running. We've got the National Online Leadership Lecture, which is a bi-monthly one, which is this one that we have invited to you, Prof. These programs happen twice a month, where we invite high-profile speakers like yourself, with impeccable knowledge and leadership credentials to be able to unpack it to us and teach men in line with our first pillar of mental liberation. What is leadership? How to make proper decisions of how to lead in the midst of a crisis. This is one of our program that we're running here. Brother, son, and father, son, and father, daughter picnics to try and build the relationship between fathers and their children. It's also one program that we are about to go out and launch. So this is SALGC, basically what we are and what we are doing. We have got a few people who come and they're friends of the club, like yourself, who says, we want to contribute as a nation, as a people, to this club, and we want to contribute in building our economies. Because we truly believe, Prof, that we cannot be brilliant and intelligent and achieving as individuals, but failing as a unity. We are decimally failing as a unity as African nation, but individually we are brilliant. We've got pockets of brilliance of men who have achieved so much in their lives, but as a collective, there is what they call dololo. There is nothing. We only go to our communities to brag with nice cars, and we go back to the suburbs again. 5, 10 years down the line, we have lost all that wealth. We go back to our communities now, or our villages where we come from. We are poor as I don't know what. So we are saying to all intelligent guys, brilliant men and women out there, if you want to contribute to your nation, please use this club. Come here, contribute, not even monetary, your brains, your ideas, to make this draw as much men as possible, to ensure that the values of leadership starting at home are spread across all corners of the Republic of this country. And just going on and on about this, it's not really about me. My passion about this club, it's just so much that I can talk until the end of the day. But today it's not about me, ladies and gentlemen, it's about Prof. Prof, today it's about you and the topic that we have chose, that today we have a crisis, a national crisis all over the place about decisions, what we should make. We make decisions that are really not informed. And it's almost like a trial and error what you're doing. Every day instead of making the right decision, we make the wrong decisions. And the excuse is, I was under pressure, I had little information, and all that stuff. So we need you to unpack for us, give us even tools on how really and truly one should be able to make proper decisions in the midst of a crisis. Right now, there's issues about COVID-19. There's a lot of speculations and issues that are going around that a man and a woman needs to make a leadership decision for their family in matters like this. So we thought, let's get you. And when I spoke to you privately before this, invite you, asking you to come and humbly assist us with that. That it is a crisis, it is a national crisis. Some people don't see it as a crisis, but not only this, but many other decisions that we make. How do we make those decisions? So to everyone who's here live, we have men and women also here represented. So for all those who don't know who Prof is, I'm going to quickly go through his bio for you. It's not long, just quickly to tell you who Prof Mazwe Majola is. Prof Mazwe Majola is an associate professor of leadership and management. So we really truly brought the person who really knows what he's talking about, ladies and gentlemen. He is the author, publisher, speaker, lecturer, consultant, political analyst, transformational specialist, executive coach, leadership expert, and organizational strategist. He is the personal mastery and self-leadership specialist. He prides himself with over 30 years of leadership and management experience. I'm sure you guys can understand that whatever Prof will be talking about is not a thumbsuck or a textbook. 30 years is the entire lifetime, almost a generation. He's the founder and CEO of Worldwide Institute of Leadership and Development, WILD. WILD seeks to equip, empower, coach, and produce world-class leaders in all spheres of life. He is the founder and moderator of the leadership tank. He is also a founder and CEO of Umnoto Wamazwe Consulting, Pty Limited, a 100% Black-owned company with level 1 BE status. He's also the founder and managing director of the Country Publishers, a self-publishing company which has assisted many authors to publish and distribute their books. So if you have a manuscript there you want to publish, here's the opportunity for you. Prof is here. Dr. Majola also, he is a doctor, has written and published the following books: Making Your Workplace a Workplace, a Worthplace. So making your workplace a workplace. Another book he wrote is The Power of Self-Leadership, Principles and Strategies and Guidelines. So these books are giving you all powers and they're giving you tools to be able to navigate yourself through extraordinary times that you are going through. The Power and Principles of Teamwork, it's another book that he has written. Dr. Majola holds several degrees, including the following: postgraduate qualification, Masters of Business Administration, you all call it MBA commonly, from Pearson University. It's got Masters of Philosophy from the University of Pretoria. It's got Master of Commerce, MCOM, from University of KwaZulu-Natal. He's got Executive Development Program, EDP, from Manchester University in UK. Doctor of Philosophy from Newburgh Seminary. So that, in a nutshell, is our speaker and our guest today, ladies and gentlemen. And with all that, I'll give you over to you, Prof, to dwell into it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Tlabakwe. Thanks a lot to all the esteemed leaders who are with us here. And thanks for the invitation. Much appreciated, just to come and share some thoughts with you on the topic that you proposed to me. I must say that you are doing a great job, and really this organization must be supported, because we need real men, we need real boys in our societies. Things have gone wrong because men have abdicated their roles. And thank you so much. When you open, in your open remarks, you said that it's based on the Bible and Adam, or rather, when you made an example that Adam requested a partner from God, or requested a helper from God, that, or rather, God gave Adam the charge to manage the earth, and then after that he asked for helper. I think it's very important to remind ourselves really that actually Adam didn't ask God any helper. You know, I mean, it's God who thought Adam needed a helper. Adam was very happy living with animals. God gave him all the responsibilities to name all the animals. You know, the responsibility he gave him is that whatever he said he must do, he never challenged him. You know, when Adam named a lion, God accepted that, oh, this particular animal is going to be a lion. He never said, no, don't call that one a lion. It's better if you call that one a donkey. Yeah. No. So he had an absolute freedom to do anything, as he had been asked by God to take charge and to manage the earth. And then he named all the animals. He did everything. He stayed with them. He was happy with them. He never thought that he was short of anything. It's God himself who realized that no, this man, these lions and donkeys and cheetahs and all these different animals are not sufficient for him. He needed something much more tender and much more kind and beautiful. That is why when he woke up and saw this animal, another animal that he saw, because obviously at the time he thought everything was animal around him. he really was at awe. Said, wow. And then now, who is this? Where is this coming from? I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this being. I've been living around with this. And then that is when I mean, many people, and I always hear people when they preach about this, Genesis 2:24, that God said to Adam, you shall leave your family and cleave to your wife and become oneness. That it was God who said it. Actually, it's not God who said it, it's Adam himself. So Adam became a poet. It's Adam himself said, wow, this will be called, a woman, a man with a womb. Because now it's not just a man, but it's a man with a womb. And then therefore, a man shall live. So those are Adam's words, are not God. So it's very important that we find organizations like this who are resuscitating and reviving those principles, and you need to be supported, definitely. That is why I'm far away. People who know, I can see some guests here who follow me. They see that Prof is somewhere that we are not familiar with the surrounding. I'm far away where I'm working here until Tuesday. I'll only be back in Johannesburg or in Gauteng on Tuesday. But I found a corner and I said, wherever I am, let me avail myself to talk to you guys.
Yeah,
and thank you so much for the invitation. We are talking about a very important topic today. People who know me and people who are members of the leadership think tank, they know that I always say leadership is a journey. Leadership is not a destination. We are all in a journey. We learn all the time. We sleep all the now and then. We fail now and then. But obviously, as leaders, we must always learn from our mistakes and move on. And so, leadership is like that. Leadership, as a leader, you will always encounter. It's a road, it's a journey, and then in this road, it's got potholes, it's got bumpers, it's got gravels, it's got tire. It's a road that we find ourselves as leaders. It's not an easy road. That is why not everyone or not many people are leaders. To be a leader, there is a cost in leadership. There is a price in leadership. And when I lecture or when I coach managers and leaders, I always tell them that I wonder how many of you guys, when you are given leadership or managerial roles, you tell your bosses and say, I know, boss, I can't take this one, really not for me. We always rush into leadership roles. We always rush into managerial roles, but we don't, we fail to remember, to understand there's a huge price, the price that you must pay as a leader. And there are dangers in leadership, there are costs in leadership, there are pressures that we encounter in leaders. Leadership comes with enormous pressures. If I can just count most of them, because I call this holistic leadership. John Maxwell calls it 360-degree leader. That as a leader, you've got a pressure that comes from you as individual, as a leader. So you can call this, it comes from self. You want to do good. You don't want to fail your family. You don't want to fail yourself first. You don't want to fail your family. You don't want to fail your organization. You don't want to fail the people who are following you. So there's this huge pressure on you to do good and to do great and not to fail and not to disappoint people. Leaders who fail and leaders who do bad things, obviously they sleep. They are just those things that in one way or another, but there will always be that pressure from any leader to do good, because you want to leave a good legacy. You want to be remembered only in good things. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, when you talk about legacy, I always hear people say, but he didn't leave any legacy. There's no legacy he left. There is no leader who will not leave a legacy. All leaders, as long as you are a leader, at some point, you will leave a legacy. There is no way that you are in leadership position and you don't leave a legacy. The question will always be, what kind of legacy? So there will be a good legacy and a bad legacy. There will be a positive legacy and a negative legacy. But we always focus on a positive one as though it's like, no, but there's no legacy left. No, all the leaders have left some kind of legacy. President Madiba left a legacy. Of course, it's up to you how you evaluate him, what kind of a legacy he left. Thabo Mbeki left a legacy. And also it's up to you how you evaluate him, what kind of legacy. Msholozi left a legacy. And again, it's up to you what kind of legacy he left. And then Ramaphosa, Matamela Ramaphosa will leave a legacy when he leaves the office. And again, I know that he should be having a huge pressure within him as a leader that would love to live a good legacy. So there's this pressure that comes from within, but there is a pressure that comes from the people you lead. In other words, that the people, your followers, your team members. So you can call this a southward pressure or pressure. The people that are reporting to you, or the people that you are leading. It's a pressure because these people, they want most of the things from you. If you're at work, people want this and that from you. They want resources. Anything they don't know, they come to you as a leader. So it's a huge pressure. But also, it's not only southward pressure. There is also a pressure that you will encounter as a leader, which I call an upward pressure, a northward pressure. Pressure to make your bosses, to make your superiors happy. You always have to, people who have given you this role as a leader, as a manager, you've got to perform well. Now and then they want this, they don't want this. You've got to make sure that you do good things with them. And then the pressures eastward and westward from your families, from your colleagues, from your friends, from your suppliers, from depending where you are. So in any position, as long as it's a managerial or leadership position, it comes with huge pressure. If you're a community leader, there's a huge pressure in your community. People who are looking up to you. If you're a pastor, there is a huge pressure in you. The pressure from self as a pastor to make sure that you're doing well, pressure from your family, pressure from your members, pressure from your community, pressure everywhere. If you're a politician, there's a huge pressure because obviously you've got to serve people as a politician. You don't have to be serving yourself, so you have to make sure that your constituency are happy. If you're an executive, whether public or private, also you are confronted with a lot of pressure to make sure that people are happy. So within this pressure, of course, yes, as a leader, you will be confused. That's why the topic today is decision-making in the midst of confusion. Because as a leader and as a manager, confusion will always come. It's not that something that you must invite. It's not something you must say, please come now, I'm being bored. I want you, Mr. Confusion, to come to me. No, confusion will be there as a leader and as a manager. Remember, a confusion is a state of disorder. Confusion is a state of upheaval, is a state of chaos. It may be a state of uncertainty. And even now, really, we live in that time. The leadership literature and the business literature, they call this VUCA environment. We live in VUCA environment. We live in volatile, in uncertainty, and in unpredictability. We live in complex time. We live in ambiguous time. So all of this will bring confusion to you as a leader, because definitely you find yourself with all these pressures, all these people, they are looking up to you. And then, of course, yes, you will be confused because of this upheaval and of this chaos. So now, during this confusion, what must you do as a leader? Leadership is decision making. If you don't make decision as a leader, definitely you'll be found wanted. People will criticize you. Of course, criticism is one of the costs of leadership. No leader is not criticized. Actually, someone once said that if you are a leader and you are not criticized, you must know that you are a poor leader. It means that there's something wrong we are doing. We are not doing correct things. In other words, we are not decisive. We are not doing things, because criticism will always come when we are leader. But unfortunately, we always cry and says, they are saying this about me. Of course, they will criticize you. They will insult you. They will say it's just difficult to satisfy people. So you will be criticized. But in the midst of that, in the midst of this confusion, you've got to make decisions. Because remember that decisions is when we are looking at all different options and alternatives and choose one of them. It may not be right or wrong, but at least something must be said, this must be done, or this is how must be done. So if you're a leader and you don't take decisions, and then people will or will lose support and will lose credibility because we are not decisive. Remember that by not making a decision, it's a decision not to take an action. So if you're not making a decision, you've already made a decision. So we always think that maybe you make a decision when you say something. By not making a decision, that is a decision in itself, because you have decided not to take an action, and that was a decision that you have made during that crisis or during that confusion, which of course is not good. So I just want to share with you some couple of nuggets that during this confusion, during this crisis, during this uncertainty, as leaders, what must we do to make sure that we lead well during this time? During the time of crisis or during the time of confusion, leaders, as I've said, they must be decisive. In other words, someone must make a decision. Someone must take a decision. If you don't do that, probably it's better if you're a private, if you're a private leader. Obviously, there will be those people who will criticize you or who will critique you, or will, if you're a public figure, there will be people who will be there who will obviously, who, whether they're commentators or the analysts, who will say that your problem is that you are not decisive enough. That is why things are not going well. Fortunately, I'm not one of those people. So please don't count me with those people, Mr. Tlabako. You've never seen me anywhere saying those words. Even if you Google me, you won't find any video that says saying that. I'm a very nice person. I'm just a lecturer and a coach. By the way, but as I'm saying that, decisiveness is very important, because we'll remind you that, look, you are there as a leader, you've got to make or take a decision. That's what's number one. Number two, you've got to be adaptable. Adaptability is the name of the game, ladies and gentlemen. It's agility, another word. Agility is the name of the word, or flexibility is the name of the word. When we are in a state of confusion or crisis, you can't be rigid. Actually, I always say rigidity and intractability are the greatest enemies of effective leadership. Great leaders are adaptable. Great leaders are flexible. Great leaders are agile. So agility is very important so that you are in a state to change things around when this thing is not going well, and then you must be adaptable. There's a lecture that I have which I teach at universities about leadership styles. And I teach about this animal. There is this small animal that changes colors. You put it there, and then when you take it, you put it there, and then you take it and you put it there, and there, and then I always say that if you want to be a great leader with different styles, and then you've got to be a chameleon leader, or you've got to have a chameleon leadership style. That's the greatest lesson that we'll learn from chameleon as far as adaptability is concerned, because chameleon responds to an environment. If you take a chameleon and put it to a place where there is a black surface, you will see it responding, adapting to that environment. And then if you pick it up and take it to a place where it's got a white surface, and then gradually you can see it responding to that environment. So that is adaptability. It adapts. Great leaders are chameleons. Great leaders possess chameleon ability or leadership skills or leadership style. They change to different environments and different context that they find themselves. So that was number two. Number three, you've got to be responsive. Responsiveness is very important as a leader during confusion. When we are confused and you don't know what to do and we're in a crisis. Responsiveness. Now, the problem, the big difficulty with responsiveness is that it has to do with being reactionary, because you've got to respond to a stimulus. It seems as if you have to wait first until something happens, then you respond. So responsiveness has to do with quick and positive response to a certain stimulus. But I want to add another word there, anticipation. So you don't have only to be responsive, but you must be, and you've got to anticipate. The anticipation at least calls for proactiveness, that you must be proactive. So what happened, what our government did with the rollout, the vaccines rollout, as you know, that they were caught napping, really. They were busy with other things. Instead of rolling out, ordering vaccines in time, they were caught napping. That it had to take an outcry from the country, from journalists, from analysts, from the country, from everywhere, to say, what is happening with vaccines? Small countries like not Madagascar, but Seychelles, they received their vaccines long before us. So you can see that the government, or our government, still has that reactionary ability. They are not proactive. They are found wanting when it's come to anticipating. Yes, scientists, They anticipated that there will be a second wave. But while they were doing that, the others, or rather the government officials or politicians, they didn't say, because we are going to have this, then let us roll out as quick as possible, or rather let us move with speed this vaccine rollout. So the people who always respond, they always have problems because they are reacting. But the people who anticipate, or leaders who anticipate, at least they are proactive when they do things. So another area, number 4, I don't know how many now I've said, number 4 is the speed that is needed during the confusion and during the crisis. Is the speed. You've got to move fast. Is the sense of urgency. As I'm saying that our government was found wanting when it comes to vaccine rollout, you could see, and I'm saying this with huge respect, you could see the culture of government officials. They take time to do things. There is that culture of, yes, we will do it. You know, people who do business with government will tell you that you can submit an invoice, and then an invoice that just requires a signature, and this person who must put a signature is not maybe in another floor. It's in the same floor. It's just someone to take this invoice and give it to another person in another desk, that person to put a signature, and then that one to move and that thing can take 1 week or 2 weeks. You go there, and there's a pile of documents in this person's desk, because they're taking their time. Okay, no, I'll do. Please, can you sign that invoice so that I can process? Okay, where is it? I will see it. I'll sign it next week. So that is why we have been asking government that many SMEs, they are dying because government is low in paying the people, because of the people who are there, who don't have speed, who are taking time. They don't have a sense of urgency when they are doing their work. And also another area that I want to introduce to you, that is transparency. You need transparency during the confusion time, so that people will trust you. And credit to Zweli Mkhize, really tried his best, with his communication. He has been telling people what is happening now, this and this, or trying to be transparent. Even with the vaccine that came from India, they were transparent. They came out and tell the nation that, look, we bought this vaccine, but unfortunately, this vaccine is not responding to our problem. But even there, the people, they're saying that it's because of their slowness, because had they got that vaccine on time before the outbreak of the second variant, they would have used that vaccine. So you can see that the lack of speed will really cause a lot of problems, even cost, resources, but there's a lot of money that is put there. Obviously now that needs to be channeled somewhere and use this vaccine for something else. So transparency is very good, it's very important. I've just heard that even tonight our president will be addressing the nation again at 8 o'clock. So at least they're trying as a government now and then to come back to the nation and tell them what is happening. I don't know what's my time. Okay, let me go quickly now. With transparency, you need honesty as well. You must be naked. You must be honest. Because trustworthiness is very important. And integrity is very important, so that people will trust you, because trust is the foundation of leadership. When people don't trust you, and then we are in a very huge problem as a leader. I've spoken about, touched a little bit about communication. You've got to communicate a lot. when things are not doing well, when things are not going well. If you're a pastor and then there's a certain crisis in church, you must be bold enough to stand up and say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm in this space. This is what is happening to me. People are very forgiving. I always say people are very forgiving. But if you don't say things, and then in the absence of information, people will, of course, yes, draw their own conclusion. So communication is very important. It must be clear, it must be coherent, it must be concise, credible, and courteous, the communication that you must provide. You must be a listening leader. Listening leader. Listening is very important. I always say that there is a very good reason why God, when he created us, it's got a very good reason. I mean, he knew us. He's the one who created us. He had a very good reason why he gave us 2 ears and he gave us 1 mouth. He knew it. That ears must be used more than mouth. Mouth is 1, it's just 1. And the ears are 2, created by the Almighty God himself. But we tend to, to defy what God gave us. And then we will overuse this one that is 1. I always say sometimes the mouth must contest and must toy and say, you are overusing me, I'm tired now. Because I should be used less than the ears. But now you're using me a lot more than the ears. So God had a very good reason why he gave us 2 ears to listen. Great leaders, they listen. And great leaders, of course, yes, they listen with their ears, they listen with their eyes, and they listen with their heart. So when you listen what a person is saying, but observe as a person is speaking. Because just your eyes will listen a lot, because words alone don't say much. So when you listen with your eyes as well, looking at those, or you observe those movements, how a person talks, then you are listening. But you also listen with your heart as well. And then when you are listening leader, people will follow you. Another area that is very, very important, Mr. Tlabakwe, just before I close, is the area of courage. Great leaders are courageous. Leadership is not for faint-hearted. Just like we'll say in politics, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Exactly the same with leadership. Otherwise, you'll be full of tissues all the time. In your office, you'll be full of, with a full, and then you'll buy another one, and every day you'll be buying tissues because you'll be crying all the time. As a great leader, you must be bold, you must be tough, you must be strong, you must be courageous. And as I'm saying that, of course, it doesn't mean that you must be bully. You can be courageous while you are still caring. We were talking about this on Wednesdays in my show when we were talking about a leader should be a lion and a lamb. A lion in terms of tough courage, and a lamb in terms of caring and compassion and empathy. So it's not either or, it's and in both. It happens simultaneously. But you are strong, but at the same time, you are kind. So during crisis, you need strong, courageous leaders because there will be some unpopular decisions that need to be made. There will be some risky decisions that need to be made. If you are soft, if you are weak, you can't make those decisions. And then people will always throw stones at you and say, the problem is that you are a weak leader. You are not making decisions because we are scared that people will hate you. You are scared that people would say this and this and this. If you're a political leader, you are scared that people, you'll be unpopular. You've got to do that. Integrity, I always say, if you're a man of principles and character, you've got to take decisions in such a way that if the people have to vote you out, or in the case of the ANC, because it's them who apply this calling and recalling principle. If you have to be recalled, you must happen with your clear conscience. It happened to Thabo Mbeki. They recalled him. And Thabo Mbeki, I guess, wherever he is, he sleeps nicely at night because said, okay, I didn't finish my term with some few months, but other than that, I don't have any baggage and all those things that followed me because I was our principal leader. I took decisions. If those decisions were unpopular to certain people, that costed my position and my job, but at least I'm sleeping a sleepless night. Now, if you don't do that because you are scared that it's going to cause some upheavals, it's going to cause some turbulence and problems, and people are going to recall you, you are not a great leader. You are not a principled leader. You are thinking about yourself. But if you're saying, yes, I'm here to unite people, I'm for cohesion, but at the same time, there are certain things that I value most and value a lot as a principled leader, as a leader of character, that I cannot I cannot go with, I cannot tolerate. Therefore, I have to stand. So courage is very important with leadership, and with courage, it comes with composure. That as a leader, you are rooted. As a leader, you are grounded. You don't move with wind. Certain people say this, you follow them. Other people come and pull you this and you go this, but you're a grounded leader. You're a rooted leader. And then the last one, Mr. Tabakwe, last one, self-confidence. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to love yourself. You've got to value yourself. You must have self-esteem. Self-esteem it has to do with your inner traits. And self-confidence has to do, it talks to your ability. That do you have enough confidence that you can make this decision, that you can do this? So you don't you don't become fearful, but you become fearless. There's nothing wrong to be a fear. You'll always be, fear, all of us. God created us in us. He gave us that feeling that whenever we go to a danger, we do something, we must be scared of something. But you're not fearful, but you are fearless as a leader. So leading during confusion, leading during crisis, leading during turbulence requires speed, requires decisiveness, requires trust, requires responsiveness. You've got to anticipate things. You've got to communicate. You must be a consistent leader, and you must be a transparent leader. And with those few nuggets, I hope I contributed, and then let's hear what the colleagues are saying. But thank you very much. Probably let me just leave it there at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really a lot. That was really what we really needed to hear, most of us. And I'm sure that ladies and gentlemen here and on Facebook have taken so much. They had their pens and notepads ready. They took most of what you have mentioned and they're ready to buzz you with questions left, right, and center, like myself, I am. While they're busy preparing themselves for a lot of questions, Prof, I need to I need to ask you this quickly. Just a first question from my side. Most people, and you know that SALGC, it's community-based nationwide. And we look at everyone and we say, from a biblical perspective, God said, let me make a man in our likeness, image, and all that, to lead and govern in the colony that I've brought my kingdom in on earth. So naturally, when you go outside and you talk to people about leadership, they panic because they think a leader should be having some educational credentials. I must have been through varsity, I must have been whatever. I can't lead my brother because I didn't go to school. What do we say to that person? A layman sitting out there who's got responsibility and leadership to take. He's got a family to raise, he's got all these things to do. Should he give up and take on Nyaupe because he didn't go to school? He doesn't have education. What is your simple advice to these type of people who are here at SALGC and say, but that's not for us. We are ready to just follow. And in the process, they're making decisions every day of their lives.
Yes, yeah. Thanks, my brother. You know, I value education, obviously, given my qualifications and my level of education as a professor. I cherish education. I encourage people to go to school. But I want to tell you, a lot of millionaires and a lot of billionaires are dropouts, are people who don't have formal education. So while, yes, we encourage people to go to school, to have formal education, but it doesn't mean that a person who don't have a degree or a BA is a non-entity. We can learn a lot from those people. Actually, us who are researchers, when we research, we go to elderly, we go to villages, we go to those elder grandmamas, we go people who are not scholars, but who will tell you things from the heart, and that's where we get our research from, or that's where we do our research from. So with our community leaders, I would say leadership, yes, is made. Leadership is learnable. Leadership is developed, but it doesn't mean that you've got to go to a university to be a great leader. Platforms like these, they are educational. These are good platforms exactly to develop and to empower leaders. So through such platforms, people will definitely get their insight, their leadership insights. But as I'm saying that, we've got so many great leaders out there in our community. We are from communities. I'm from Soweto. I grew up in Sinawan and Soweto. We've got, I always go there and I meet people, others who can see that they didn't make it in life, but you don't look down upon those people. I sit, because I'm a researcher, I'm a scholar, I sit down with those people, and there will always be something they will say that you learn. You know, if leaders are great learners. You know, we learn all the time. Wherever we go, we learn. Leaders are not, people with pride, egocentric people. As soon as you are ego-driven, you are not a good leader. Great leaders are humble. Leadership is about humility. So you learn from these people wherever you go. As I'm saying that in social research, there is something we call triple L. Wherever you go, you look, you listen, and you learn. So you don't go there all the time and you are the one who's talking, but you just look, listen, and learn. And so definitely we can learn a lot from those people. There are great leaders there, because leadership, we lead in different levels. You know, the Cyril Ramaphosa is leading the country at the moment. There are people who are leading organizations, whether are companies or universities. Others are leading churches. Others are leading their community-based organizations, which are very, very important. Actually, great leaders, we always say this, great leaders, or if you want to learn leadership, great leadership, it starts there from community. You must be a leader where you are not paid. If you are leading, you are working in an organization or in a situation where you don't get paid, and that is when you will learn leadership. Because sacrifice, because you've got to inspire people, to motivate people to follow you or to follow your cause without giving them anything. That's great leadership. Whereas at workplaces, you leave these people with obviously you at least you reward them, you give them something. So as they follow you, maybe it's because of your positional power. So great leaders, great leadership, it's when you lead people and then we are not paying them, because that is when you are going to exhibit the ability of inspiration, motivation, and sacrifice, and get people to follow you without giving them anything. That's a great leader. Thank you, sir.
Beautiful. Thank you, Prof. Thank you. Well answered. Absolutely, absolutely well answered. And I'm sure our viewers and here are very happy for that response. I'm going to take questions, and I'm going to ask Leadership Israel here to look in the chat box and get messages and the names and the raised hands if I can't see any. If there's any question, I'm ready to take it. That is Khali, are you there?
I'm very there, my leadership. Thank you very much. There's only a comment in the box, not a question. I don't know. You'll tell me when I have to read it.
Please read it for us, leader, while we're waiting for it.
Okay, thank you. The first one is from leader Bongani Kaba. It's saying, wow, thank you, Prof, for the powerful talk. I have learned a lot. I have a question regarding adaptability and flexibility versus composure or rooted leadership. I can elaborate on my question if given the opportunity. So I think leadership is still checking if that opportunity can be afforded. So maybe he will come on the floor and ask that question. The second comment is from leader Simpiwe Makanya. It's saying, Prof, I have a question on your third point. You said a leader must be responsive, must anticipate. My question is, what if as a leader I did anticipate certain things, but I got it all wrong on what I anticipated? Does that make me a bad leader? It's a question mark. Sometimes as a result of my anticipation, I ended up costing my company a lot of money. So that's leadership Simpiwe Makanya.
Yeah.
Those are the two that I can see.
Yeah. Thank you, leadership. I think leadership Bongani will raise a hand to get the opportunity to elaborate on this question. But what I would like is, Prof, now can you elaborate on what the second comment on the wrong anticipation?
Yeah.
Does it make a wrong leader?
Yes. Mr. Makanya, yes, that's a very good, important question, Simpiwe. Now, what I'm saying is that as a leader, instead of waiting for things to happen and react in terms of responsiveness, it's better, especially in the crisis, because in the crisis, we need a speed, you've got to anticipate. You've got to anticipate things. Yes, indeed, we are so absolutely right. You may miscalculate at times that you anticipate, you put measures, you put strategies, and then you find that the way you did, and then in strategies in business, we call this scenario planning, where you'll do scenarios, you pick different scenarios and say maybe this might be the one, this might be one, and then given a certain thing, then you pick up one and say maybe this is the scenario. But yes, in leadership and in decision making, there will always be that time when you miscalculate and you thought we're in a right path, and then maybe, but at least you've made decision. You've made a decision. There is something you do. Leadership, it's about, as I've said, that it's about being, it's about humility. When we have done wrong, you must come back and apologize and say, I thought this way it was going to be a correct thing, but seems like I miscalculated. And people, they are very forgiving. Yes, in the business terms, you might have costed the company a lot of money based on that. That is why when it comes to business, they go according, projects go according to level of readiness and level of experience and expertise, because people will know that at least this manager has been here maybe for 5 years, he understands things, and then even the budget must fit that level. When we are given $1 billion budget, it means that at least we are in a level where you are known that you've been there for years. You know, you've really bent your fingers. You've done so now. At least you are entrusted with these billions, because at your level you are known that really you are capable of handling that budget. So even when you anticipate, even when you make decisions, and then at least that budget might not be wasted. Strategies are there to be renewed, refreshed. That is why every time there will be a strategy, and then now and then people will come back and say, let us revise, review our strategy. Are we still in the good path? Are we still in the right way, what we wanted to do? But you're quite correct, because we live in unpredictability time. There will be time where definitely, I mean, I made that example with this vaccine thing, the vaccine from India. The government paid a lot of money for that vaccine. It came here, and then it did not do what it was supposed to do. Someone might say that the government has wasted, but at least they've done something. You know, they've done something. They were beaten by the speed of the crisis. They were slow in their responsiveness, you know, and then that costed them that by the time that vaccine came, at least the second wave had already what to call erupted. So you've got to put all these things together. Leadership is not either or, it's and in both. You balance the extremes. So you responsiveness, you balance it with anticipation. So it's not about responsiveness or anticipation, it's responsiveness and anticipation. As I've said, it's courage and caring. So all those things go hand in hand. Thank you.
Must he resign, Prof?
Must you?
Must he resign? Must he resign? He has cost the he has cost the company a lot of money. In political terms or business corporate terms, must he step down? Must the government step down? Must leader Alana step down because he has cost the corporate a lot of money?
No,
Does
I
it
don't
make him
no. Oh, sorry. I don't think so. And that's a beauty of decision making, because decision making, it's about choosing one option from different options, about choosing a certain from all different alternatives, you know. So as I'm saying that, you're using your experience, you're using your advices, there are so many things that you use. and it's risky, it's unpopular, there's so many things involved. Yes, there might be something that we miscalculated, you thought we are making a decision that will benefit, if it's political level or government level, you thought it will benefit the country, but because of certain things, that is why when that vaccine thing happened, really we didn't make a lot of noise, because we knew that we are talking about a crisis, and a crisis, the only noise we made, it was the slowlessness and the lethargy of the government. That was to say that you've got to move with speed if you want to beat a crisis, or if you want to manage a crisis. But as you move with speed, there will be mistakes, because we are dealing with something you don't know. It's unpredictable, it's uncertain, it's volatile. You are not sure how it's going to manifest itself in future, but at least you are doing something. There is that sense of urgency, and then we are not going to be mad at you. But if you are not doing anything, and then definitely we are going to mad at you. So the only thing that we made noise for, it was the slowness of the government. They took time, but in terms of there's a lot of money that was used. At least they've said that they can channel that to other. There are cases where there's carelessness. If it's careless, definitely leader must resign. And then we find that in private sector, they don't waste time. If you've made a careless decision, then you will resign. But if you're a diligent leader, and then you are trying your utmost best to solve a certain problem, and then you miscalculated, and people won't be mad at you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's hear what Leader Bongani, let's get him to expand on his question. Leader, the platform is yours.
Thank you, leadership. Good afternoon, all the leaders, and thank you, Prof. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Thank you so much. Prof, thank you for an eye-opening talk. I've really learned a lot. I've got one question, Prof, and it's touching on the point that I have for me as number 2, which is adaptability and flexibility and agility. And here you spoke about the chameleon leader. But now, Prof, you spoke now on point, my number 9, as composure and a grounded leader. So my question is this, Prof. How do I balance the two between not being a leader that's been too adaptable, being blown everywhere, versus being a leader that has to, let's say now, if you have to make decisions and stand by those decisions, however unpopular they are, which would talk to number 9, being a grounded leader. How do I balance that, Prof? Because I found that they're almost like contrasting each other. I don't know if it makes sense.
And that's a beauty of leader or of leadership, or that's an unfortunate part of leadership, because as I've just said to Simpio, that leadership, it's about balancing the extremes. Yes. Leadership, it's about balancing the polarities. Leadership, it's a balancing act. There's no either or, it's and both. So while we are adaptable, while we are flexible, but while we are doing that at the same time, you must be grounded. And by grounded, Mr. Klaba, I don't mean that you must be stubborn, that you must not be moved. I'm just saying that you must be, by grounded, I raised it when I was talking about a principled leader, a values-driven leader, that you've got to be, you don't have to be weak leader, but you must be grounded, strong and tough, and be rooted in your values and in your principles. But you're right, because in that, you've got to make a room for flexibility in the midst of that groundness, so that you've got to be flexible as well. So that's how leadership is. I've got a book that it's called The Paradox of Leadership, where I talk about these polarities of leadership, the extremes of leadership. The leadership is a balancing act. While you've got to take charge as a leader, while we are taking charge as a leader, being strong, but on the other extreme, you've got to be humble. you know. So we are not either or. So we need a humble leader, but while we are humble, but all at the same time, we've got to be strong and tough. So you understand that it's just, but it's a matter of trying to make sure that trying to make sure that we are that chameleon leader who's adaptable, but who, while we are adaptable, you are being grounded and rooted as well. You know, a person, a political leader, always make this example whenever I give lectures. Whether you like him or you don't like him, but he had this quality, composure. And his name is your former president, Sir Jacob Zuma. You'll notice when he used to be in parliament, and then they will insult him, they will call him names, and EFF will say, pay back the money, sit down, and then you will just sit down and you just laugh at them, and you'll just, you know, very few, if ever, happened when he lost his cool. That's a good leader. And I'm not saying, obviously, I know that there are other areas where he didn't do well, but I'm just picking up a quality that he was so good, that he was a very composed, was a composed leader. You would say, and he would kill you with his smile. He would just laugh at you. And then I remember at some stage, Floyd Chibambo, you said, your problem is you are just laughing. You always laugh. You like to laugh. And then he said, is my laughter is harmful? Am I harming anyone by my laughter? So he used to have that, you know, that stamina to take insults and criticism. So that's what I was just taking, that sometimes you must be a strong leader, but obviously you must balance that with other qualities. Obviously, we are not a best leader with just one quality. You've got so many other qualities that you need to make you a great leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
Beautiful, beautiful. Any question, any comment on Facebook or the chat box, leaders? Prof, while we waiting for hands to come up, I have a question, just almost the same as leadership Klaba's question here on adaptability. You spoke of chameleon leadership, and I'm very skeptical as I'm listening, and I want to get it right. Obviously, when you are a leader, you've got followers, and your followers, they follow you because of your conviction. And once you become a chameleon, you say this and you adapt to that tomorrow, and they see you colors changing like that. Where does it leave your followers in terms of conviction that this man tomorrow can change? He said today this, and this is the reason why we followed him. But this man can change before we even get there to the gate. He would say something different. Where do you clarify it so that it makes sense that followers are not confused in the midst of your leadership? Because obviously when you are a leader, you've got a following. You're not just a leader on your own without anyone following you.
Yes.
Or mentor, or mentees as well.
Yeah, that's a very important question that we're asking this. Now, remember that when we're talking about the chameleon leadership or adaptability, we are not talking, I like that we use the word conviction. We are not talking about your values. We're not talking about your character. We are not saying that change your character in order to adapt. We are not saying that in order for you to be loved by people, go to church on Sundays, Mondays you go to work, we are another person, you go to no, we are not saying that kind of a leader. A good leader is a person who's got principles, who's got values. And remember, when we talk about values, are those things that you value the most, are things that will never compromise. That's what is called values. You value them. to the point that if you die, you can die for this thing. You know, these are your convictions. Those things, you don't touch them. You don't obviously, you don't compromise on them. But when you're a leader, you are a leader in a particular environment or environments. So you don't operate in a cocoon, you operate in an environment. So it's very important for you to do good, to understand and to learn from and to observe different environment and adapt to certain things, not your values, but your environment. That is why I spoke about chameleon, because a chameleon adapts to environment. You know, a chameleon will never adapt if it's not to move from another place to another place. So that is adaptability. But as I said, that adaptability must be balanced with good groundness, with good principles and conviction. So indeed, you are correct. That must not be interpreted as though we are saying, now you must change things, be like this. No. That in order for you to be loved as a leader, tomorrow you are like this, and another day like this. No. There are no followers who can follow a leader like those. That like that. People want to follow a grounded leader, a values-driven leader, and a principled leader. However, we live in different environments, a certain political environment which changes all the time, economic environment, international and global environment that changes. Something will happen in Brazil and affect us here as just what COVID has done. It's something that emanated from China, but we cannot say that, no, we cannot respond to that or adapt to that, even though. So those are just environments and context that we find ourselves in as leaders. Thank you.
Yeah, very clear, Mali, very clear. Leadership, Skale, anything in the box? Any hand coming? Yes.
I only see a comment from leader Magoba saying, thank you so much for a very informative and profound presentation, Prof. And also leadership Mayor Awesome saying the triple L, look, listen and learn. I think she's just emphasizing that she took that home. Other than that, there's nothing more in the chat box.
Facebook, is there anything on Facebook, my leader? Questions?
And unfortunately, I can't access my Facebook at this point in time. I don't know if one of us can.
Leadership SIPO will check for us. It's fine. It's
fine. Thank you.
Any hand, while we're waiting for some hand, I don't see any hand coming up, and I'm not sure if I'm a co-host. I'll be able to see hands if I'm a co-host. But Prof, while we waiting for some hands to be raised, our leaders will still be checking the hands there and on Facebook. I think I've got one last question, if it's the last. Don't hold me to that. Maybe I'll have another one after it. So let's talk about the point that you make about transparency, and you spoke about transparency, that leaders need to be transparent. I need you at least to elaborate where you draw the line between, because these are difficult times, to be honest, Prof. And politics, in my books, it's something else, as if you juxtapose it with leadership. Not attacking anyone, but it's just a personal opinion. Where do you draw the line between a leader who's been transparent and a total manipulator? Because I could be a smooth talker, beautiful talker, but all I do is pushing a certain agenda. But the way I talk so nice, so fluent, so much that it looks like I'm being transparent about everything that I'm doing, while in the process, I'm manipulating either the nation, my family, my partner, my community, or anyone else, because there's a certain agenda of brown envelopes, or black plastic bags that I'm collecting somewhere? Where do we draw the line between manipulation and transparency?
Yes, so transparency leadership really I was referring to make it's a cousin of communication, make the information there, I mean, release the information, let people know what is happening, be transparent about these things, because you don't want people to point fingers at you as a leader, say, no, he didn't do this, but at least if you communicate and be transparent and let them know what is happening, if you are facing a challenge, you let them know, and really it strengthens trust. Even in the workplace, you'll see if there is a boss, a supervisor, a manager with his or her team, if there is that transparency, and then the leader talks to his or her team members, give feedback, constructive feedback, constant feedback, there will always be harmony and trust within that team. Indeed, manipulation will always come, especially in the world of politics. Politicians are about manipulation. Politics, or rather politics, is about manipulation. Politics is about charisma. People, it's about populism. That is why you'll see certain leaders, which would even yourself ask, why, how on earth this leader is still supported or followed by so many people? Because of populism, because of manipulation. That's what politics is, which is very, very unfortunate, So I think as a follower, as a team leader, and it's even better if it's a politics or it's even a non-governmental organization, because there it's your choice. You look at your values, as we've spoken about values, look at your conviction. Is this leader, is this party, is this organization in sync with your values? If not, then jump ship and get an organization that will value you and also will be in sync with your values. But just to follow for the sake of following is not right. You've got to take a stand as a person and say, I can't be there anymore, or make noise. If you're a member of that organization, make noise, voice it out. Remember, we spoke about courage. Be courageous. Otherwise, then just so. If we are in a working situation where we are following a boss who's manipulative, who is bully, who's a monster, who's authoritarian, of course, yes, there also you can just use your values. If you feel that you need this work, you need money, there's nothing you can do. You've got to be perceptive. Make sure that there are certain things you can follow from that boss, and there are certain things just follow only work-related situation. But obviously, don't sell your soul, don't sell your values because you want to be satisfy that particular bully boss. That is not right. So, being a follower, and again, as I'm saying, in a non-governmental organization, not-for-profit organization, it's your choice. You always have a choice. Really, there's no one who's you are not shackled. That no, follow. If you want to say no, I can't do that or can't be there because that is against my values, you've got all the rights to do that. You follow this organization based on the constitution and the values of that organization. If you feel that is no more there, and then use your use your brain and then take a decision. We are talking about decision today. Thank you. I can see that Siponkosi raised his hand.
People raise the hand. I'm just thinking when you say use your brain, that these days looks like it's very painful to use the brain. Yeah. If I'm strong with the brain when you use it, but we don't want to use it as people.
Unfortunately.
My leaders,
Good day. Thank you, Prof, for the beautiful lecture. The one comment is from Leadership's Butisipe from Facebook. He says, thank you, Dr. Majola. Prof, I appreciate your valued contribution to make us great leaders. My question stems from another trait which has strongly made mockery of our leaders to fail us, and that is high ethos. What is your take of the spiral decline of strong, ethical, bold African leaders with aspiration to bring real change to our society and continent? End of question.
Yeah, you see, I've been in leadership for many years, and I've seen things happen. And I always, when I do coaching and mentoring, and even when I lecture to university, I always lament the question of ethics or lack thereof. And the reason why I lament, and even in my analysis or commentatory space, because I've seen so many good leaders go down, not because of their competence or lack thereof, but because of ethics. You see very good performing leaders, high performers, going down because of ethics or lack thereof. So ethics is a very important area in yourself as a leader, ladies and gentlemen. Guard against yourself, guard against your character. You know that in a workplace, performance would be tolerated. Competence would be tolerated. If you are not performing well, you will be trained and retrained. You will be skilled and reskilled. You will be moved from one department to another department. I mean, our Labor Relations Act does not allow that. Just because you are not performing well, you must be fired. Because you will be asked, did you train this person? Did you reskill this person? Did you move this person, tried from to another department? So if it's about performance or competence, it's tolerated, it's managed, there's so many things. But if it's ethical issues, you are down and out immediately. So really, it's so unfortunate that this is the area that we must teach wherever we can, from youngsters upward, that when you take leadership positions or managerial positions, guard against your character. It's like carrying two things. Your performance or your competence, it's what you attack with. It's your assegai. It's something that you hit with. And then your ethics is your shield. So if you are going to a war, you cannot only carry your assegai, you cannot only carry your spear without anything that will protect yourself with. You carry your spear and your shield. They go hand in hand. So competence and ethics go hand in hand. You attack with your performance, with your competence, and you protect yourself with your shield, which will be your ethics or your integrity. So that is a very important thing. And we've seen it, if you look at politics, I know ministers, I know member of parliaments in government in other areas, very young and very good. And you can see that these people will take this country far because of ethics issues, and then some of them are not there. They're not there in parliaments, and then they're not there in their positions. You go to private sector, you go to public sector, you go to even in our communities. So ethics is very, very important, and we must really try our utmost best to coach and to help people with these areas. Thank you.
Beautiful response. Beautiful response. Thank you so much. Anybody wants to go for it? Prof, you seem to be hitting all the right buttons. No one wants to ask you anything. I don't know if they are intimidated by your very thorough presentation or what, but I don't see any hand. I know we have ladies here and I haven't had anyone, any voice of a lady. Ladies, you are more than welcome to ask questions. I see Me Matiana is there, Me Osam is there, and a few others. Is there anyone who wants to go for it? I seem to have made it a dialogue for too long with Prof. I need to give others a chance. That is Khalid, do you have any question?
No, I don't have a question, my leader, but I can throw in a bit of a comment. I'm just very, very happy because most of the things that Prof have said, I've actually seen alive, and I think he also managed to clarify most of the things that some of us as young as we are, maybe we're still a bit confused with them, because I liked it when he emphasized the issue of transparency and availing information, not to say you have to consult in all that you do as a leader because you have to make certain decisions that might be unpopular. But then I've seen a lot of leaders in my experience that only explain when things didn't go right. They always think I got this. Only when things didn't go right now is when they come to the fore to explain. But I've realized also that when you avail information to say, gentlemen, this is the direction we are taking, maybe as a company or as an organization, then when things, you're not only just seeking permission to go with those strategies and solutions that you might be having on the table as management or leadership of that particular organization, but then you're informing them, and it's difficult for them to blame you after that, because you give them a platform to chip in any ideas that they might think will save the company or the organization. So I think that's where I really think most of the leaders, we tend to make a mistake to say, when I make consultation as such, or when I bring it to the whole forum to say I'm confused or we have a situation, it's like I'm a bad leader. So I think that I take home with myself to say consultation and making the information available to those that you lead is very important. So thank you very much, Prof, for a very profound lecture today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Sekhan.
There's a hand up there, Prof, from Didibuko Twala. Didibuko, my leader, unmute yourself.
Actually, thank you, leader. Thank you, Professor. So,
Yes,
Prof Majola, in terms of my question, do understand I follow you. So I've read so many articles that you write. But here's a thing that I want to ask from your side. You see, when you put leadership, let us put leadership in the context. So I've traveled a lot of many African countries. I mean, the Western world, the Eastern world, I've traveled to those countries. So, but if you look in terms of the Eastern world, they believe more in family business, So our system that most African countries that we run the Western system. The Western system, they say, it's less inclined to family business. So whereas if you look at the success of the East, it's based on family business. So the nucleus of those particular companies, they are built around families. With us now, when you build those particular things, organization, within families, people that we tend to take it to corruption, because the way we view it in the Western world, which is influencing our thinking, your Harvard scholars, which really, they pollute our mind. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but if you look at the leadership that we're also dealing with now, it's a leadership which is based in the Western world, So, but here's the issue now. If you look at the contradiction, if you look in most of the African countries, their contradiction is around the issue of colonialism, whereby at one end, when politicians, they get into power, they need to be able now to save two masters. That's the reality. You need to save the Western world. Your structural adjustment, you need to deal with those particular things. On the other hand, you need to deal with the issue of the masses, the people, they need delivery. So in fact, on the other hand, so therefore, if you look at the Western world, I've done my studies there, I've also worked there. So in fact, they don't deal with contradiction. The only thing they want to save their people. Like if you look at the Americans, so American first, then others they follow. Africa they see as a place in terms of resources where they're gonna get resources. America have got nothing to deal with Africa, as such. But the way they deal with Africa is their reservoir in terms of resources. So our relationship with them is quite different. So therefore, that contradiction in terms of leadership, it brings some contradiction, in the sense that you are saving two people. The people on the ground, they require delivery, but on the other hand, you need to comply in terms of policies, in terms of regulations, which are actually there. It's like when people now they're celebrating in terms of the head of the World Trade Organization. So then I was addressing a forum, I say, to me, being a Black woman who is leading that particular World Trade Organization, to me, it means nothing, because what we require is the changes which gonna favor in terms of developing countries. So, but Prof, my question is around those contradictions. So a leader who is in America and a leader who is South Africa is facing different challenges in relation to how do you apply leadership and ethics. A leader who is based in your India, in your Korea, Japan, the way you apply, the way he's a leader in a particular organization is quite different. Like, for example, a leader, so if you're having an employee whom we see is not performing very well, their culture allows them, you can take that employee, you go out for coffee, either it's a male or female, or you go and play golf at any particular time. It's not a problem, it's known. The boss have gone with this particular person. But in South Africa, it's a different altogether now. If I can go with one of my female employees now to play golf, now it's a problem. But I'm just saying, what they've done, their leadership is most appealing more in terms of their cultural way. But ourselves, I think, we just take different things there. So I know, Professor, I think I've confused you because you don't understand the question I've asked now.
Yeah, let's just go to the question straightly. I think that will help.
Yeah, no, I was just saying in terms, how is a leader who's operating in the African context vis-a-vis a leader who is operating in the Western world?
Thanks.
So
you got the gist. Yeah, Prof.
Well, thank you. Thanks. That's my brother. It's my friend. There's an old friend of mine, Professor Twala. He's a professor at the University of Johannesburg and our member of leadership think tank. So thanks, Prof. Yeah. Look, I agree with you that unfortunately we've really followed more Western, we've become more Westernized in whatever we do in our business, in our thinking, our books, our models, theories, everything. That is why we are saying really, let's try to reclaim of Ubuntu, let's try to reclaim of our Africanness, the way we do things in terms of our leadership models, our Ubuntu leadership model, because in an African way, family structures are very, very important, or were very important. And that is why we had family values, which were very important. Even business-wise, was more family-based, just as you are saying, what you find from the Jews, what you find from the Indians, what you find from Chinese. So that makes it very, very good. But unfortunately for us, and I'm sorry to use this and that, unfortunately, because we are a confused nation, confused people, we tend to not really know where to go, how to do. But platforms like these are the ones that will assist us to go back to where we belong, because we need that Ubuntu principles, Ubuntu structures, and if you can revive our families, and that's why exactly these organizations do in terms of bringing back that family principles in terms of boys and men, and to say that we need that family structure. And also the issue of family business will then come there. But we cannot shy away or deny the fact that we are now living a globalization. So that the whole world has become a global village. So what happens in China affects us in a minute. Like right now, as we're in this Zoom meeting, it's possible that we could have participants from Nigeria, participants from US with us right now in real time. So that's what technology and globalization has done to us. So we need to adapt, and again, it goes to that adaptability, that while we adapt to that, but also we must be grounded with our principles, with our Ubuntu and African principle, that we must not sell our soul. We must not become a confused nation where we just don't know where to go, what we are, who we are. We need to have our principles and our purpose and our identity. It's very important to have identity. You know, I've always been arguing that I also, Prof Twala knows that I also travel a lot. I've always been saying that what I seem to be missing, and I think organizations like this will assist us, what I seem to be missing as a South African is that common identity as a nation. If I can ask, what is it that as African pull us together? Irrespective of political parties, irrespective of our religion or cultures, but something that will say, I am a South African. So there is this identity that we have, that I have, so that if I can travel to Madagascar, or if I can travel to Philippines, and then it should be easy just to spot another South African there. Because there should be that identity, something that will say, wow, you are a South African. Yes, I'm also a South African. And then, but we don't have that. And I've always been arguing in my space that our political leaders have failed us when it comes to that thing. They've failed us. They've failed to inculcate that oneness as a country. That identity, that common identity, as if it's not difficult to spot in America, or in America will be easily spotting another America because of that pride they have, that identity. When we said we are in America, they've got that pride, they've got that thing. But we don't have that as a South Africans, So our political parties, or our political leaders, have focused on certain things that they've missed this part. But I don't think political leaders can do it anyway now, because they seem to be discredited. We don't find credible. But this thing, it seems like this thing must be driven from the ground root level by the non-governmental organization where we can really identify that commonalities as South Africans and inculcate to our boys, to our girls, to our students, to our scholars, so that as South Africans, we must have something there to bind us together, that whether it's values that are from our constitution, but they must be inculcated such a way that if you're a South African, you must be, wherever you are, you must be. That patriotism, when you go wherever you are, it must be easy to be spotted. Thanks, Prof, and thank you.
Thank you, Prof. We have 9 minutes to the end of our program. But I actually like what Professor Twala has asked, because it is the foundation of this club. Here at SALGC, we believe that politics or politicians will never lead us anymore in the direction that as a nation we need to go. So Prof Talas asked a very important question, which I want to elaborate on, and maybe as a comment, you can take it from there. Maybe we can extend sometimes further if we need to, just to elaborate on this thing. The principal philosophy of the club is leadership up, down, it's not materializing, and we're wasting our time if in any way we think as a nation that things will change from the bottom down. And hence we have this club to say leadership begins at home. So we are having a bottom-up approach where we're developing young men to be proper leaders to go up. But at the same time, we are saying the existing men need to find the leadership within them so that we change the landscape of everything. However, my question also in the process would be to you academics and saying, this club would need people like yourself who are academics, who writes leadership, and I hope Professor Twala is also listening, who writes leadership in the context of Africa. Because every time when we read material, we'll be told of Dreyer, we'll be told of Maxwell, we'll be told of anyone. We don't define leadership in the African or South African context. So we are unable as a nation to influence any world, the Western world, the Asian world, the Americans, and everyone. We are not able to influence them because we're waiting for them to cough and then there's cold all over. The club says here, we need to be very influential to a point where they emulate what Africans are doing because we are tight, we are united in what we are doing. But that we can do with materials that you write so that we refer to what you give as a leadership definition of South Africa, because the definitions that we get on leadership, it's what we get from overseas and all over the place. I don't know what is your take on that, because we depend entirely on scholars like yourself, or Professor Twala, to come and say, this is definition of leadership in South Africa. This is who we are. And that in itself will give us an identity. And they should be able to emulate us as well, because it's like we are a nation waiting for agenda to be set elsewhere, and we follow that. We can't come up with anything that the world should take from us and move forward with. I don't know what's your comment, Prof, on that, or even Professor Twala maybe can come in later after you.
Yeah, so I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. Just as I'm answering this or responding to you, let me just say that I've got another commitment after 6. So I booked myself up to, I think it was 4 to 6. But yes, I completely agree with you that, and I like your formula. I love the formula. We really need to support you, and we need to find a way to work together, because I like that bottom-up leadership. So because if we are going to wait for top-down, we will wait until heavens come back. We don't know when will heavens come back, but we need influencers from our communities. And then influencing, it does not start in a big way. In a small way, you just influence, and then it cascades and it go further. And that's how influence happen. We are launching our online university, the Wild Leadership Online University. Next month is in March, a few days to come. And I can tell you that in our curriculum, in our courses, Ubuntu leadership is one of the core, because it's exactly what we want to do, to say, in this leadership, you want to study a bachelor's degree in leadership with us. You must know that Ubuntu leadership or Ubuntu will be one of the core module of this. So we want to instill that, so that I agree with you, so that we can reclaim, or try in a small way to reclaim, to say that let's try to influence the world on our own leadership model. Let us build our own leadership models and leadership theories based on Africanness and based on Ubuntu, because we can do that. we are sick and tired of all the time. We are talking about, we are reading about leadership stuff, this and this. It's just Americans and then UK based and Europe based. But now we want to create our own leadership models that we can teach our people and also teach the world, because obviously we know that this is an international school that we are opening. We will have students from all over the world, and we want them to know what it's about Ubuntu leadership all about. So that is what is going to happen. So really, I agree with you. But just my parting shot to thank you very much for inviting me. I love what we're doing. And really, please keep it up. We need organizations like this. I'm one of those people who don't go for bigger things. You know, I'm not a politician. Politicians, they want bigger numbers, bigger things, because I always know that influence starts small and then it grows. But if you're gonna come with numbers, with masses, it's a disaster. So what we are doing, I laugh and I like. Thank you so much. And I would like to thank, I can see my colleagues here from the leadership think tank, Simpuya Makanya. I see my sister Telela Vika. I see Prof Twala. And if there are any others I don't see, thank you so much. We are leaders. We support each other. And we whatever we do, it's based on really empowering our nation and empowering our communities. Now I see Prof Twala has raised his hand. Prof Twala, I'm leaving, but I'll just hear you. I mean, just 1 second before I leave, please.
Prof Twala?
Yeah, actual thanks, Prof. I think, so actual thanks for this particular platform. Really, I really enjoy it. But I just think, Professor, I think what you've said, I think there are so many things that we're not actually looking at. If you look at prisoners in South Africa, there are over 1 million. But before, there were ways how to deal with people, you know, criminals, leaders who were stealing in the community, all those kind of things. But we have ways to solve those kind of problems in the past. But we're not using that particular way. I'm just saying we're having indigenous knowledge. This is actually there that we need to incorporate in terms of leadership to say how to deal with those particular issues. So I'm just saying thanks so much about those particular things. Even poor people, they were assisted. There were ways. Professor talk about that to say in a community, we didn't leave poor people, you know, who have got nothing to die. The community had ways, but that were kind of knowledge which was based in the leadership within the particular community who have lost that particular thing. People, they don't know about that. So otherwise, we'll rely on the budget. The budget won't solve the problem for us. There are ways which are there. Otherwise, thanks so much. We don't have time. Those
no, thanks. I, Prof, obviously will talk. I believe in collaborations and I believe in working together. And that we've got certain things that we do at the leadership think tank at a certain level. And the Gentlemen's Club, the Leadership Gentlemen's Club, they've got certain things that, so we need to collaborate in one or another. There are certain programs that we need to give it to them and say, this one, can you please handle this, handle this, and they will support you. And then there are certain things that we need to do at a think tank's level, because leadership is a big elephant, you know, it's a huge elephant. One must grab the ear, one must grab the foot, one must grab the trunk, and all of us, we need to do. So if we do like this, at least we will really achieve something and we'll go to there. But thanks very much. We'll engage moving forward, and we really thank you. And as I'm saying, that thank you so much to colleagues that are here and those who are streamlining on Facebook and other areas. You are doing a great job, and then we need to support each other, because just that drop, that small thing will have a very huge impact in our society, and we must hold hands to work together and to collaborate in one way or another. We will also let you know what our programs are doing. As we are saying that we are launching our university, we'll be teaching on leadership online from diploma, certificates, degrees, masters to up to PhD level. Just be an online leadership university, which definitely it will be wonderful to do. But once more, thanks very much. I really appreciate to be with you.
Thanks, Prof. Thank you for everyone. I mean, we'll talk offline, Prof, during the course of the week when you have time as well. And then thank you for everyone who have made it to this lecture. And SALGC is a home. For those who want to take membership, please go to our website, www.salgc.org.za. Take the membership. This club is for you to rebuild our communities. Come and contribute to this club. We need brains more than anything. That's all you need. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And have a beautiful evening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.